Gentlemen, we have a problem. As you can see, everything is frozen, a lot of people are dead, and I am in charge. But even worse, we are in London. So let us set out for our new home. Welcome to Frostpunk. We begin here, cold, homeless, and surrounded by walls. Our goal is to transform this empty plain into a thriving metropolis and preferably not freeze to death in the meantime. We have a few things to manage here: our resources, hope and discontent, and finally, temperature. First order of business: coal, steel, wood, and human suffering. Now unfortunately, they have the audacity to complain about their needs, and as such, they must be taken care of. Build a cookhouse, turn on the generator, build houses, people cheer and gain hope. This little victory, however, isn't free. To achieve maximum efficiency, we must have no slackers, so little Timmy here is now a productive member of society who will spend his whole life making soup. Now that we took care of the basic needs for survival, we can begin preparing for future expansion. By building a workshop, we unlock research, which is basically just gatekeeping us from using the good stuff so we don't have it too easy. Each research takes time and requires precious resources to start, so I have to carefully assess which bonuses and technologies will aid me the most in my current situation. Naturally, I chose the first thing the game suggested I research. Anyway, while I was yapping about research, the temperature dropped. As time progresses, the temperature will fall and rise. This introduces two new problems. The colder it is in the buildings where our citizens work or live, the higher the risk of injury and death, but more importantly, some buildings, like the cookhouse, will not function if their temperature is too low. Pretty uncool if you ask me. What? Oh, right. We researched the beacon. Splendid. As soon as we build it, we can look out beyond our walls and send out scout teams. These are going to be very useful as they can bring us precious resources from their travels, progress the story, and send people they find our way, which is the only way we can get new citizens because our current ones are just not in the mood. So, we build the beacon, assemble the scout team, and send them out to explore. Where is everyone? Ah! What is that? Well, better send it home. Huh. Why is the weather station also abandoned? Someone should be at least here. Hello? Anyone home? Where did they all go? Ah, right. Well, that's not good. Well, shit. It appears we are the only remaining human settlement that survived. This, of course, is not great for morale. My people got the big sad from this news, and I have to come up with a solution, quick. I have two options. Either we become a cult and find hope in God, or choose the path of order and discipline, continuing in the footsteps of my great-grandfather Papa Stalin. I think the choice is obvious. My first day as the Supreme Leader was tainted by an unfortunate occurrence. Some of our citizens, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they would rather walk all the way back to London, of all places, than continue living under my rule. What's even worse, they would do so in 2 weeks. The issue with the Londoners is where discontent, and more importantly hope, play a big role. Both of these metrics must be kept at acceptable levels, otherwise my people might depose me. How rude. Each law I sign, each decision I make, like extending working hours and many more things, have an effect on them, and often when one moves in the correct way, the other moves towards the bad side. We obviously can't have that, so what shall be done to resolve this? Well, for one, we have a whole new set of laws to sign, all of them morally questionable, but utterly necessary. First, we create the Neighborhood Watch, build watchtowers, and people join the Londoners. Clearly, we must employ drastic measures, otherwise this will get out of control. If we look at this graph, the more order I ensure, the happier the people. Do not ask me to cite my sources. So then, watchtowers become guard stations and people already stopped joining the Londoners? Alright, amazing! This is going to be incredibly easy, I thought. Little did I know that naive me would be unpleasantly mistaken. They would prove to be a pain in my ass for a very, very long time. I built a news center to combat all the misinformation that would surely be plaguing our glorious city, which immediately proved like a smart move because we had a very unpleasant act of vandalism occur. Not to worry, this will surely not happen again. Meanwhile, our scouts found starving Americans, which I find hard to believe. Nothing more to that, it is only my patriotic duty to make fun of Americans as a European. What? Oh, they can't be serious. While I was performing my patriotic duties, the Londoners defaced more walls, and this time they insulted me directly, calling me an unfit leader incapable of doing what it takes to save our people. And when some of our guards were removing the graffiti, they beat them up. They will pay for this! We built a prison, which apparently someone didn't like, so I ignored him. What's he gonna do? Overthrow me? Alone? Preposterous. Besides, people love the guards apparently, so I have nothing to worry about. The Londoners have now stolen food from us. That is absolutely unacceptable. Even worse, a day later, they did it again. And this time, they murdered one of our guards as he was chasing them. Rest easy, soldier. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Clearly, this is getting out of control. We must employ even more drastic measures. We must make use of what we learned from the Eastern Bloc. Informers. I signed the Pledge of Allegiance law, which meant I would now have a network of spies who would rat even on their relatives, because they recognized me as a true and wise leader, and their loyalty would be greatly rewarded. And wouldn't you know, we had many enthusiastic volunteers. One of them decided to use this power for their personal gain. This was of course not ideal, because she had been very helpful, but I cannot have anyone misusing the power I had given them, so I stripped them of their status. Now all was going quite well. We only had 3 Londoners left and still a lot of time to persuade them to stay or lock them up. Things were going almost too well. All this time, while I was dealing with these pesky Londoners, there was another threat looming around the corner. This threat was a drop in temperature. Not just any drop in temperature, but a significant one, all the way down to minus 70 degrees Celsius or minus 94 freedom units. Fortunately, we have been preparing for this possibility for a very, very long time. All the way back from when the beacon was researched, in fact. Back then, I signed the emergency shift law, which meant our workers would have to work non-stop for a whole day with no breaks if I ordered them to. Kind of like Amazon. This would come in very handy because in order to survive such cold, we would need a lot of coal. We're talking so much coal, even Birmingham would seem like those sand playgrounds kids play in. We built coal mines and coal thumpers, but those were not going to be enough. We needed more coal. I summoned all the wrinkles on my brain, and after a long pondering session, came up with a solution. Wood. But the generator cannot burn wood, I hear you ask. I know. Shut up. That is where the kiln comes in. It burns the wood and turns it into coal. But for it to be effective, we must acquire more wood. We built a sawmill, started an emergency shift there, and it still wasn't enough. Fortunately, we have a solution to this problem, as there is plenty of wood in Winterhome. We can use it for some good after all. All we have to do is research an outpost depot, build it, send a team of slaves, employees there, to build the outpost, and voila, they are sending 150 wood each day back to us, enough to fulfill our kiln's demand. Very good. Having enough coal would be well and good, but it won't help us if we had no way to use it. That is why we needed to upgrade the infrastructure.
Upgrades, people! Upgrades!
I researched the generator power upgrade and the efficiency upgrade, meaning it would give us more warmth for less coal. Very stonks. I then built steam heaters, little baby generators, and bunkhouses so our citizens would have better insulation. Now if I do something for them, they must do something for me. Seeing that I had to remind them of this fact, I signed the Agitator law and built them. They inspired the workers to increase their effort, which raises efficiency. You're asking how they work? How about a demonstration? Hey! Hey! Work harder! What? Work harder! Why? You have to! What if I don't want to? One last thing that was going to help us a little was the automaton, the giant thing our scouts found at the Bridge to Winterhome. It replaces the whole crew of one building, but only does 66% of their maximum capacity. The bonus being, it wasn't going to freeze to death. Look at him go. I checked the coal economy, which was doing quite well, ramped up to all the heaters, and prepared for the cold that was inevitable to come any minute now.
Wrap up well. The frost is here.
The cold had come, but luckily we were prepared. So prepared, in fact, that I had to reassign one of our resource depots to coal, because we had nowhere else to store it. I set the generator to a higher power setting. I sent our citizens into the cold to gather as much coal as possible. People were dying, but we had to push on. To cheer them up, I built a pub, because nothing bothers a Brit if he's got a pint of Guinness in his hand, and our citizens were not bothered at all. Some were so unbothered, in fact, that they decided they didn't need to go back to London after all. Truly, the power of Guinness is mighty. After that, the temperature increased, I powered down the generator, and we could all rest easy as we have survived another peril. But there was still one small problem I had to deal with. The Londoners were reduced to just a couple, but they were still here. They were going to leave in a few days, and the tendency was that they were going to stay, but that felt like a half measure. Could I really let them stay? After all they have done, after they have vandalized our walls, stolen our food, beaten up and killed our guards? I don't think so. Our citizens must know that if they misbehave, there will be consequences. They must know that we are going to survive under my rule, however much they dislike it. I needed to make an example of the Londoners, so that no such rebellion would ever happen again.